closer to me.
Welcome, everyone. Here I am with the one and only Paul Landreth-Smith.
Howdy.
It's a lovely hat you have on, Paul.
I'm from Texas.
Now people are going to be even more confused. So let's start off with a little background of Paul Landreth-Smith. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm an implant from United Kingdom. I've been in America now for 7 years, something like that. Got my citizenship, so I am officially an American. I have a certificate and everything to prove it.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah, good for me. It seemed appropriate. I live here. I pay taxes. Why not? Why wouldn't I do that? I mean, I suppose it's more relevant about the martial arts side of things, but I started off very traditional with Taekwondo and Muay Thai, and then I got into kickboxing, and then got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a few other bits and pieces along the way, like you do. What's happening? I can't see anything else. What is happening?
Sorry, our dog knocked down one of the lights.
Okay.
We heard you and he got excited.
Oh.
Baron loves Paul.
I haven't seen Baron for a long time. So, yeah.
So, sorry to interrupt, but that's when I met you. You were a big Taekwondo guy when we first met.
Yeah.
2 schools?
I had a couple of schools, yeah. Well, 3 at one point. Well, actually, technically, I had 5 schools. I had 3 Taekwondo schools and 2 kickboxing schools, and a team of instructors. And you and I met in 2005, was it?
Was it? Long time ago.
2004, 2005.
I remember that.
I was running the Taekwondo and the kickboxing side of things, and then I was doing the thing that everybody does, I think, to a greater or lesser extent, where they have like a they have the core curriculum that they're teaching, and then they have this kind of self-protection application of everything that they do. And mine was influenced heavily by my real life experiences, because I tended to find that a lot of the things that the traditional systems taught just didn't really work very well in real life. So I kind of had my own flavor, and this is kind of based on how I had found that real fights work. Because I would get into a lot because I was a horrible person. No, because I used to be a doorman, and I was a cop as well for a long time. So, hang on. There we go. Yeah. So I was a cop. So I would get into a lot of fights, and the like, the self-protection that we were teaching just didn't really work. And then I met you, of course, and it all just kind of fell into place because I was basically teaching what you were teaching, but it wasn't formalized. It was just me just kind of freestyling it. And then I met you, and it was like, oh, thank goodness. There is a system out there called Krav Maga, which I didn't really, I'd heard of it, but I didn't know very much about it.
I remember that seminar.
Sorry, what?
The seminar, was it in Leeds or Doncaster?
It was actually in Doncaster, and it was very funny because I remember that you were panicking because you didn't think that anybody liked you.
People came up and they're like, thank you. That was lovely. Thank you. I suck. I'm the worst instructor ever. This sucks. And you came up and
really liked you. Yeah, well, the British are a little bit more reserved about our emotions. Yeah, so
you're like, they're British. They don't have emotions. But it was funny because that is what got us talking. And you're like, no one teaches this. I'm like, what are you talking about? You have Jeff Thompson in this country. You have like the one and only best self-defense street fighter, Jeff Thompson. And no one understood it or did it at the time.
No. So yeah, it's hard to appreciate now. I mean, it's not that long ago, I guess, but yeah, the traditional systems ruled everything. And there was, the UFC was in its infancy. Krav Maga wasn't a thing. There were some places there through the IKMF, but they were really fringe and really weird because they didn't have belts and they had this very restrictive way that they would allow instruction to go on. So it was actually it didn't allow the system to spread. It was very I think it kind of held it back. And then, of course, I met you, and it all kind of, and it revealed a huge hole in my training, which is why I decided to travel to America and come to your.
Wait, hold that thought. Dirty Bird, Mrs. Jimmo, how are you? We'll be talking about your husband later on. About
yes,
Jeff Thompson with Paul. But
yeah, that was fun.
How you doing, Dirty Bird? Sorry, Paul. Please continue.
That's fine. That's fine. This is what I wear when I'm being Mexican.
On that note, let's say hi to a couple people because we were joking that you had only had a couple people who were signed on to listen to you, but there's many. Stara, Matt, Scott, Ted Cam, Ryan Hubbard, Justin Swanson, Joshua Arnold,
Justin,
Christina Yee, Howard, Todd Peters, Mike Lance, Bob Ramo, Megan, Danny Perry, Jared Alexander, Andy Donahue. What's up, sir? Morgan Howard, Cass Sigmund,
Morgan,
Rob Watterson,
Dr. Rob,
Athena,
miss
you, and then
Paul,
Stephanie. So Richard Franklin and Rebecca Graham. And we do have some questions coming in. So finish up your finish up your thought, and then Steve Livesey. You don't return my text messages, man. You're in trouble. Anyway, back to Paul.
I told you what I was saying. What was I saying? I know something about fighting. Oh yeah, I went to your academy in Pennsylvania, and that kind of began our journey as a team.
If anyone wants to know that story,
you just threw all this information at me in a week. You taught me the entire I'm a Krav Maga curriculum and more in a week, and so my brain melted, obviously, and I just had to learn more. So we kept in touch ever since, haven't we? Really?
Yeah.
With flights back and forth across the pond, and now up and down across America. So.
That was a fun time when you brought the Brits to come play.
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of bruising, I remember.
That was all FEMA.
No. Yeah, it was good. I got hit in the face with a stick, and I got
within 10 minutes.
I don't think it was even that long. No, but I learned a lot of lessons. It was good. I had a lot. I got a lot from that. That was cool.
I remember that you were sitting in my office, and he came in and said, "Hey, do you ever spar with sticks?" You said, "No, I haven't." 10 minutes later, you walk back. Do you have any ice?
Yes. Yeah, well, we didn't agree the rules. I didn't understand what was going to happen, and poof.
But Paul has a lot of these stories, a lot of other stories in his book, Sheepdog with a Black Belt.
Yes. Buy my book. Buy my book. Buy my book.
You can find it on Amazon.
Indeed. If this thing goes on for much longer, I will be recording an audio version if it goes on.
Yay!
Here's my problem with your book.
Oh.
You never signed it. If anyone wants to see bits of the audio that we made Paul read while we drove him around when he was visiting, it's pretty darn funny. And to hear it in Paul's voice and accent makes the book so much more enjoyable. It was wonderful.
It's basically, for those of you that haven't read it, it's basically just me being beaten up and then realizing that was bad and thinking, what do I need to change to fix that? And then I go on and then I get beaten up and then I think that sucked. What do I need to change so that doesn't happen again? Occasionally I win a fight, every now and then, but mostly it's just me getting beaten up. and thinking, yeah, that sucked.
Hey, would you like to tell a story or two from the book?
Oh gosh, well, which have you got any in mind?
I do. I use the one you talk about the first time, maybe that you drew your weapon. And you're like, I know it's on the range.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is kind of how this is influenced very, very strongly how I conduct my firearms training, because the police service, and particularly the British police, are very, very strict on how they train. It's very formulaic. It's almost like a drill team. It looks super slick and super cool because we've got the timing down, and it's like, from a distance of so many yards you will deliver blah 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 blah, and it's all blah, 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 blah. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, I'll never be as good as those guys. And it's just doing it over and over and over again, but it's almost like a kata, over and over and over again, and they do the same drills, and it's all standing, then kneeling, and then you have to do this, and you have to move this way, and then you have to move that way, and you have to deliver this many rounds on it, and it's good, but it's very, very strict. So the first time I actually drew my weapon in anger, as it were, we'd been searching a house, and the suspect turned out to be in an attic space, and we didn't know he was in there. We kind of thought, it's the last area, it's the last place that somebody could possibly be hiding. So my partner, she went in. It was a whole team of us, but she was the smaller, so she went in through the little, the hole in the wall that enabled her to go in. So she's kind of crawling over the attic space, trying not to fall through the ceiling. It was one of those places where they'd converted the attic into a room, so that space was actually just like in the side of the wall. And there's a rolled up carpet in the corner. And anyway, this bloke had rolled himself up in the carpet almost, and then he suddenly just appears. Boo! And I guess he was trying to surrender, maybe. But she was trying not to fall through the joist, so she couldn't draw her gun, and she's like, ah! And he's like, ugh! And he's a guy that's supposed to have a gun. So I had to draw my gun, and I'm lying on my side, kind of one-handed, aiming my gun over my partner's shoulder at his face, thinking, well, I've never done this. This is unfair. I've never, ever trained to shoot my gun while lying down on my side. I've never, ever trained to shoot my gun while firing over my partner's shoulder. We didn't actually do that. But the whole point was that it had no relation to anything that I'd ever done in training. So that was kind of quite influential. So now my training that I try to give people tries to put them in positions or places where they think, well, this isn't like the range work we've ever done in the past. And I do that on purpose, because if you want to go and do just regular training, there's a whole heap of guys out there that can, teach you how to be very, very safe on range and kind of stand there. But I want you to move. I want you to think. I want you to shoot from a position that's awkward or weird, or with your support hand, or from a seated position, or just weirdness, because that's real life, because that's what happens. And that was reinforced. The more I went through my service and the more times I drew my gun, more often than not, it wasn't ideal. It was kind of awkward, or I was holding them with one hand and then had the gun back here because I didn't want to grab it, but I want them to know. There's all sorts of weird situations. But yeah, the first time I drew a gun, it was lying down on my side, which wasn't normal for me at the time.
So I know people are going to question, wait, from England, they don't carry guns.
No, of course not. No, because there's no guns in England. None whatsoever. Nobody has guns. It's a utopia. It's a wonderful place where there's no violence and there's no guns. Oh no, wait, that's wrong. So there are lots and lots and lots of guns. And there's lots of guns which people legally own, which a lot of people don't realise. Anybody can own a shotgun. Anybody can own a rifle. Anybody can own a repeating rifle. Very much like an AR. I just can't actually own an AR, but like an equivalent repeating rifle with a magazine that fires 5.56, 308, 270s. You can legally own those things. Weirdly, you can't own a pistol, but if you spot weld a suppressor on the end of the pistol, so you change the barrel length, in England that's classified as a rifle. So you can own a pistol with a suppressor. A lot of people don't know.
How about law enforcement?
No, I was unable to own my own handgun. No,
I meant how many of the police officers carried handguns?
I wouldn't know a number, but just a bit of a guesstimate. It would be less than 2% would be carrying a firearm.
So you're a part of a special unit.
So, and I'm kind of hesitating because it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable because I'm British and we don't, we feel weird when we talk about this. So you've got the 2% of the cops who carry guns, and of those, most of them are trained to a relatively low standard, and then you've got ones that are trained to a high level. And then you've got the ones who are proactive, because everyone kind of here is reactive. So they respond to spontaneous firearms events and they back up other officers. And they're actually trained to kind of a comparable level to a low-level SWAT team over here, because they have to be able to cope with quite serious things. And then you've got proactive teams who are a little bit more higher, and they get some more extra training. And then you've got intervention teams who are doing like hostage rescue, and they're going after like the serious crime. And then you've got the counterterrorism teams who are dealing with the regional, obviously, counterterrorism issues. And then the very, very best in the country is from the Metropolitan Police. And I was a member of the Metropolitan Counterterrorism SWAT team. So I was part of the very best in the country, and probably Europe as well. And we would handle things from a national perspective, and I was one of the instructors there as well. So I wasn't just an operator; I was one of the instructors. So I would teach and operate the jobs that we did, which were many. I was very well employed, 24/7, 365 days a year. We had a lot of work on that mostly the public had no idea about because security. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was a good job.
Thank you for sharing. I know that's hard for you. I feel
weird
stuff like that. Listen, we were talking about today, so I might as well bring it up. Krav Camp in August.
Yes, we were talking about today. Yeah. So Krav Camp in August is looking to be the biggest, the best, the most impressive camp that we've ever run. It's got some incredible people. They're intimidating as an instructor because you get all these high level people who are just amazing, and you're like, I can't stand next to them because these are names in the industry, and I'm just Paul. Who am I? But it's at an awkward time, isn't it? Because we want to provide this camp. We want to hold it and have this thing that we've built, but it's at this kind of threshold about will we be able to? Mm-hmm. Because with all the issues that are going on now, of course, we're generally concerned that it may not happen simply because 5 months away. I hope everything's been relaxed 5 months away.
If
but
we need to change the date, it will happen. Mm-hmm. Even if we need to change the date, it will happen.
Oh, it's definitely going to happen. Oh, hell yes, it's going to happen. It's just the date. I'm just like, oh, hello, Olivia. I know. Mummy's home. I know. It's definitely going to happen. Absolutely. I mean, we've put so much planning into it, and everyone's so excited about it that we can't not. It's its own thing now. We can't.
For me, I'm so tired of hearing all the dismal stuff people are putting out.
Yeah.
I like Krav Camp. For me is hope. I get to spend time having fun with people I like. And not only that, I'm still getting instructors reaching out to me, asking if they can come and teach a Krav Camp. We have over 22 guest instructors.
I know.
It's
amazing.
Guest instructors. Military, law enforcement.
It is amazing. Hang on 1 second. Give me 1 second.
So if you know Paul, you know that he has multiple dogs. He's an animal lover. Him and his wife have some of the coolest dogs in Texas. So while he is hanging out with his dogs, I just thought I'd say hi to a couple people because not only do we have a bunch of people watching, but we have some instructors from Krav Camp who are tuned in as well. So hello to Ray Stoltz, who's not an instructor, but has always added lots of insight to the classes. So Ray, we're excited to see you and your friends.
And he's fun to play with in the car.
And he's asked a couple times what happens if Krav Camp is canceled, and I'm guaranteeing that there is no cancellation. It may have to be postponed. We may have to adapt and survive. But I'm very hopeful that August 14th through the 16th will be a great time for us to come together. Javier just popped on and said, hi, Michael Maloney, Blaze, it would be great to have you at Krav Camp. Bring the whole fam. Don Day, Caitlin, Alex will be teaching some grappling and ground fighting, also providing comic relief. Ken Malt, how you doing, sir? John Kyle, Nathan Hernandez, Ryan, I'm not even going to try your last name, Nicole, Nathalie, who else is here? So many people have popped on. Mitchell, Jonna, how are you? So thank you all for tuning in. And there are some comments coming through with questions, and I'm getting them all together for Paul. So stay tuned. We'll get in there.
I can't see anything. I can just see me in the corner. It's so sad.
It's okay.
If you bring up Ernie's Facebook, it's streaming live. So I don't know if that'll help. But anyway.
Whatever. Would that not screw my thing up?
Yeah. Don't mess with it.
I'll just leave it.
The better picture was on you. But back to Krav Camp.
Okay, Krav Camp.
We have so many different instructors coming in to teach.
It's so exciting because they're all really good, and they're all really kind of like into it. You know, no one's trying to take it over. No one's trying to be like, oh, look at me. It's all like, hey, what can we do to make this camp better? And the theme is going to be so much fun too. You know, bringing all these different mindsets in terms of where people are coming from. We've got a lot of grapplers, obviously, who are coming, and it's going to be fun to work with them because they always bring so much to the equation. And just saying, hey, listen, and for all the shooters among you, it's going to completely change everything that we've done in previous camps because, from the ground up. So that whole, hey, the first time I drew my gun, I was lying on my side. You may see some from the ground up shooting. So, the whole thing is going to be a lot of fun. I'm so excited.
And the cool thing is there are no egos. Everyone's so cool. I actually, one of the instructors, Derek was a Bellator fighter, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, owns a school. I met him. He was a Raven, and he was the Air Force. He taught my instructors combative certification for the military, and we got to know each other. And I asked him, he's like, yeah, shooting and grappling, I'm in. And it's funny because,
what could go wrong? No, it'll be fine.
And then Jake, who I worked with at Fort Dix, who was a Marine, he taught insider threat. He teaches for the school systems in DC and Virginia, like active threat stuff. He was Battle of Fallujah. Jake asked to be an instructor. I was like, absolutely. Derek was like, Jake's an instructor? He taught my pre-deployment, that guy. And it's great because people know each other or haven't met each other, and they're already connecting. That what we look for isn't to say, guys, this is the way. We're never like that. Because even Paul and I disagree a lot.
All the time. All the time.
Because what works for him and what works for me are two different things. So we're open. It's a way. We have guest instructors coming from all different organizations. We have the Gung No Shuang Association, WW2 Close Quarter Combatives. We have Jiu-Jitsu, like 8 different high-level Jiu-Jitsu instructors. It's amazing. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say for camp?
I think no. I think it's just Yeah, watch the space. Watch us very, very closely. We're going to be liaising with obviously the advice from the CDC and the government, but it will go on. It's just a question of when. I'm pretty hopeful that it will go on in August because that's 5 months away. We're going to be in a really bad way if we're still under kind of like a quarantine situation by then. But I'm excited. I'm hopeful, and like you say, it can be that thing that we all kind of, but craft camp. So it's going to be. I think a lot of people go extra excited about it. I am. So.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna have the crew from Century Martial Arts also.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
It's always fun playing with them. Let's go to online. Let's talk.
Okay. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to say?
So, right as this pandemic hit, we started an online course.
Well, actually, just before, because we've been planning it for a long time. So, okay, a little bit of background for everybody watching. I am a paramedic, and I got my paramedic certification online. And the way that worked was the majority of the paramedic information, of which there is a lot, it was a 10-month course, and most of the course was all done online. And I was set weekly tasks. So there was things I had to read and research through the week. There were discussions online in like a discussion forum. I had to complete assignments. There was a test at the end of every week, and this would roll for 10 months. It was a very intensive process. But there were 4 occasions when I had to physically go somewhere and practice the skills. And then there was obviously all the clinicals I had to do as well, but that's kind of a separate issue. So I was having a chat with Ernie. I said, hey, listen, why don't we do that, but for our instructors? So rather than trying to cram everything into a weekend or asking people to take a lot of time off, why don't we recreate that system where we have an online course where all the theory, all the class planning, all the history, all the how to create drills, medical first aid, all these aspects, we can do all of that online and have discussion forums and set things that people have to watch and have tests and have assignments. And then when they come to us, because we're not going to make anybody an instructor online, but when they come to us for the end of the process, we don't have to waste mat time by talking about things. We can just hit the ground running and, okay, this is going to suck. Here we go. And we just have a full weekend of just intensive physical training just to prove that, they've already proved that they can talk the talk. Now let's see if you can walk the walk. And we had this all planned out. It was already, and it just happened that as we released it, the whole process happened. And then we've got all these other people kind of saying, hey, can we do that as well? So we're actually probably going to be running another course very, very quickly afterwards because we've had a lot of interest. So yeah, it's and I've got some great feedback from a lot of people that are on the course, which is pleasing because it's worrying, of course, because it's like, oh, will people like it? But so far, I've had a lot of
fun interacting with people,
and I'm excited. I'm excited to meet everybody. When we train with them. Although I'm going to get, as usual, I'll get beaten up, but I'm excited to meet everybody and train with them, and just kind of build a community. So yeah, it worked out. The timing was I wouldn't say perfect because it's not something I would wish for, but the timing's worked out well for us in terms of, we already had the ball rolling in terms of developing an online program. And of course, we're going to be expanding it. And we spoke about that previously. We're going to have like curriculum courses, specialist courses. So I've already written, I just have to release it really, a introduction to firearms. It's going to be a prerequisite for everybody that goes to one of our camps. The reason being that usually everybody just turns up and they we don't really know anything about them. But if you can say you've seen this camp, then you know the safety rules. You know how to load and unload, or you've seen anyway, how to load and unload a gun. You're going to understand which our range rules are going to be. You're going to understand what's expected of you on the line. So, we're going to have this as like a prerequisite. So, okay, you've signed up. Here's the link. Go here. Make sure you've completed it before you attend camp, and then that's a tick in the box that we can legitimately say as a professional organization, hey, we're ensuring that everybody that comes has received pre-course training. I think it's an exciting time for that sort of thing. You have to think a little bit out of the box and think, how can I make this work? Because you can't do everything online. You can't, you can't learn how to swim out of a book. You have to actually get in the pool. So, everything that we do ultimately, we have to do.
But
in
it's
terms
the
of
thinking part. I think
the thinking part of it.
And the
discussions
and the interactive. So Richard Franklin says he's really enjoying the course. And
Good.
Ken Malt said, great course, even for old guys. Ken, please. Last Croft camp in Texas, Ken Malt was a guest instructor. Ken is a really nice, humble guy. Met him the year before. He was helping us out, doing some handcuffing, teaching. Very former police officer, police instructor. He started teaching, and Ken the cop came out, and it was all the stories he was telling, the technique. I'm like, what just happened here? Oh my God, amazing! So I'm glad that you guys are as happy with it as we are, and I'm really happy. Like Paul and I have a lot that we're putting down now. Everything, specialty courses like he was talking about, all kinds of things. Even, I'm going to say this, we're going to release a curriculum, videos for people in this time for free, that they can come on and just go through curriculum. So when we have that done, we'll let that know. We'll let you know that's a way for us to say thank you to everyone. Anything else about online?
No, I think you covered it. Good man.
Do you want to give us a talk about current events?
Gosh, that's a wide thing. Stay at home.
But just really, like when we talked yesterday, you were talking about someone in Texas took shots at a nurse in scrubs.
Oh, that was in Oklahoma. But yeah, so interestingly, fear is an interesting motivator, isn't it? It from a psychological point of view, it makes people do weird things. And I've been paying attention a lot to, some of the why. Like why did everybody buy toilet paper? And the reason people buy toilet paper is because there is a feeling of a loss of control. Like if you have, I don't know, some kind of financial problem in your life, then you can take action to try to address that. If you have someone that has, there's like a vehicle accident, then there are things that you can, achieve. If a hurricane comes sweeping through, it's very, very harmful to everybody whilst it's there. But then there's the aftermath, and everybody can kind of, they sort through the rubble. They help people that are homeless. They have like a food drive. There's action they can do. But we've got this unseen enemy, and people are freaking out. So there's this need to try to establish control. And when you go to the supermarket, you don't know what to buy. I've seen people with these wide eyes just looking around like, I need to buy stuff. It's like, you actually don't, because there is no indication that the food supply is under any risk whatsoever. But when you buy toilet paper, it's big and it's bulky, and you think, yeah, I got loads of stuff, and it's relatively cheap, and you're not going to waste it eventually. But then, of course, you take a couple of packets, and the shelf looks more empty. So other people go, the toilet paper's running out. So they go and buy some too, and then it's all gone, and everyone loses their minds. And it's just this kind of snowball effect of irrationality. And that's why everybody's buying toilet paper, even though you don't need to. And so what's starting to happen now, of course, is that everyone's going, healthcare workers, they're really good, and EMS and fire and nurses, they're wonderful. But what's starting to happen now, and we've been kind of advised that maybe you shouldn't be wearing like your fire shirts outside of work, or nurses shouldn't travel to and from work in their scrubs, because people are starting to get abused in public. Like, a guy will walk into like a supermarket with his fire shirt, and people go, you should do your groceries somewhere else. And, well, where else am I supposed to do my groceries? And like I say, in Oklahoma a couple of days ago, a nurse in scrubs, she was at the gas pump, and the guy drew his gun on her, and he fired shots. He shot through the windshield, and she managed to get away, but he was screaming at her, you know, you're going to kill us all. What? So I'm more afraid of the crazy people, actually, than the virus. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm worried about the virus because I have several friends in Europe. I don't know if you can tell I'm not from around here. It's the face. I have several friends in Europe, a couple of very good friends actually, and they are sick. They are not having a good time. It is unpleasant, and it seems to be you either get it and it's not so bad, or you get it and it's really rough. And the ones that get it and it's really rough, it's very, very unpleasant. So I'm like, I'm probably going to get it. So I'm like, I hope I get the not so bad one and not the other one. But
I know I did.
You know, a lot of people that are very afraid, they start acting out and behaving very oddly, and acting as if maybe by their actions they won't get it. And it's like, I think we probably will all get it, but to a greater or lesser extent. It's just a matter of flattening that infection curve so that we don't overwhelm the medical resources available.
So I got a guess from you.
What?
Someone just wrote in Australian.
Yeah, that's the most common that I get. Yeah, everybody thinks I'm Australian or New Zealand. It's very rare I get British, and I get told I don't sound like I'm British. Okay, sorry. Australian's the most common.
So I have a question for you. It comes to us from Newark, New York. The one and only Josh Arnold. Question for Paul. How do police regulation differ from the U.S. when it comes to going hands-on?
How do police regulations? Mm-hmm. The first bit you were kind of garbled.
How do police regulations differ from the U.S. when it comes to going hands-on?
Oh, okay. Well, they don't really, because the law is loosely the same. The police are expected to be held to a slightly higher standard. They have to exercise control and restraint. The conflict management models, or the conflict resolution pyramids, or however they want to word it, depending on the particular jurisdiction, they all have to operate under guidelines in terms of what's appropriate use of force. So that doesn't actually change a great deal. Just the verbiage, the words, the terminology, that changes, but the concepts are exactly the same. The difference, really, I would say, the difference really is, and this is just my kind of perception, is that the police here, the threat is greater as a general rule, because the freer availability of firearms means that every single time they interact with a member of the public, it is potentially a firearms situation. Someone's walking past my house, which is a great crime. Millie, nobody wants to hear this. Go outside. Go and attack them outside. So when the police here are trying to... Josie, stop it. When the police here are trying to interact with anybody, they're always a little bit more on edge, because it could potentially become a lethal threat at any time, because everybody could potentially have a gun. So the police are a little bit more kind of hands-offish. They're always maintaining a bit more of a gap. Whereas the police in England, it's actually very rare, even though I said earlier that firearms are freely available and bad people have firearms. Actually coming across them as a police officer is relatively rare. So, and also the people in England, how can I put this without making my own country sound insane? They're a lot more willing to fight. so they I would go hands on a lot. And it's interesting when I talk to cops here, because they would be like, how did you do your job if you didn't have a gun? And I'd be like, with ease. we just fight. Which sounds, I know it sounds kind of hard for a lot of people here to kind of wrap their heads around, but yeah, we would. So the rules haven't particularly changed. It's just that the force options have changed, because we can't draw a gun and compel people to do what we're asking them. We have to go hands on and compel them to do. And then of course they resist, because they kind of fancy their chances. They think, well, he's not that big. Maybe if I thrash around a bit, I'll be able to get away. So then you have to kind of hold on to them a bit more, and then they swing a punch, and okay, we're fighting. Okay, boom. So yeah, we would just So yeah, I mean, I had a stick which changed its dimensions and weight over the years. I started off with a literal wooden stick, a truncheon, and then I got the PR-24, the collapsible aluminum, the aluminium and carbon fiber contraption, which looks great, but it doesn't weigh anything. So you kind of clonk people with it, and they'd go, wait, that didn't hurt, awesome. And then they start fighting, and you'd be like, oh, well, that's rubbish, I'll throw that away, I'll just start fighting too. And that was it, really. Yeah. And then I graduated to a longer polycarbonate one when I was in the riot police. That was great. So when I got to fight with all the football hooligans, I'd have a little round shield and a stick, and just, so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I would say, Josh, that we kind of hit people a lot more when we're cops over there, but it's all right.
Cool.
Other questions? Hey, you aren't right at the moment, but what are your plans about teaching classes in Texas?
Oh, right. So myself and my friend Josh Betts, who is a long time cravist, he has a little bit more free time on his hands than I do, or he has a more regular schedule, I should say, than I do, because I obviously work shifts, and then on my weekends off, I'm often kind of traveling around. So he has opened up with my help, because it's his school, it's not mine, but I'm helping him a lot. We've opened up a place in Tyler, Texas, so that's kind of exciting. Just one day a week so far, until we build the membership up a little bit, and we're piggybacking off a MMA BJJ gym in the area, which I have ties with, and we're hoping that will grow into something, and at least it gives me a little bit of a springboard to, when people say to me, oh, have you got a class? I can say, yes, I do, because it always used to be, well, where's your school? And I'd be like, don't have one. But now I can say, yes, I have one here, and if you want to come and train and get extra classes, you can come here at this time. So that's quite a fun thing. But then, of course, we just launched it. We had half a dozen classes. We were starting to, and then everyone has to stay at home. So it's like.
So what's the name of it, and where can it be found?
Krav Maga Universal Tyler, and it has a Facebook page, and it's in the middle of Tyler, Texas. Yeah, you can look that up off the back of Ethos BJJ. Is where we do the training. So
very good. So everybody, go ahead and like and follow Krav Maga
nice.
Tyler for updates when classes will begin again.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. So many of us have trained with Paul, and some of us have had the chance to watch Josh in action. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a big, strong boy, isn't he? Yeah, he's annoying.
He is.
Yeah.
And for being as large as he is, he's quite nimble. So
yep.
You see the punch coming, and you're like, damn. How did he get there?
Well, he had a good instructor too, John Hallett, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
John's
a top-notch guy and instructor. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a couple other questions. But
go on.
I figure story time. Tell us a story, Mr. Paul. How about, I've got one for you. The first time you met Athena.
Oh, Jesus.
It's not appropriate. So, okay. So Athena is a lovely lady. I don't know if anybody watching. I don't know if you've met Athena. She is a lot of fun, very Texan, quite kind of loud, and she's there, you don't miss her when she comes in, and she's got this big smile, and she's really, really sweet. And we've been training for a couple of days, I guess, or maybe just one day. Yeah, it was just the first day. And she does this very strange form of kung fu.
Karate.
And I'm sorry, karate. Yeah, I always get it wrong. She does a strange form of karate. And she anyway, so she was frustrated with myself and one of the guys that I brought over, called Steve Bruce. And she said, we need to get to know each other a little bit. We need to break the ice. So, just punch me. And we're kind of like, wait, what? But you're a lady. We can't just punch you. That's most inappropriate. So, kind of, boop. And she was like, no, come on, punch me. So, like, boop. So anyway, by the end of it, she was demonstrating how we could punch her in the throat as hard as we dared. And she just, no, come on, harder. And we were like, okay, this is disturbing on so many levels. So then after we got that kind of introduction out of the way, she said, okay, let's try some of the grappling stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, this is interesting. So I made the classic error, I guess, of just kind of, I'll be gracious, I'll be gentlemanly. So I'm just going for positional control. I'm just, because I'm stronger than her, So I forget the position that we ended up in, but I'm kind of moving her. And then she gets these two fingers, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, okay. So that, that's a bit of a no-no when you're grappling. I don't know, for those of you who don't, a small joint lock, it's kind of like, well, that's kind of cheating. But, I let it ride. I thought, well, okay, maybe she doesn't know any better. And then we're kind of rolling around a little bit more. And then I got her in a tighter hold, and I believe I had her in an arm bar. So I've got her in an arm bar, and I'm doing that thing where you just apply it and you wait for them to tap. Okay, then you apply it, you wait for them to tap. Okay, then you apply it, you wait for them to tap. You don't know. And then a hand comes up, and it comes up past my groin, and I'm thinking, okay, here comes the tap. She's going to tap me on the thigh. And it comes up past my groin, and I'm just holding it, thinking, okay, I'm just, I'm not going to be a dick about this. I'm just going to hold it in place. And a hand comes up, and it comes onto my thigh, and I'm thinking, well, she can tap if she wants. What's she doing? And it goes up into my thigh, and it pushes my cup out of the way, and she grabbed hold of my testicles. And so naturally, I released. Yeah, I released, and that was a little bit disconcerting. And she said, well, and of course she has a Texas drawl, which I will not try to imitate. But she said, well, we didn't agree on any rules. Why wouldn't I cheat? And that was such a good life lesson. So I was like, you know what, you were correct. Yes, we didn't. We just kind of did the whole like slap and fist bump and off we go. And I never said, by the way, try not to break my fingers or grab my bollocks. But she did. So
did she do the fish hump too?
I beg your pardon?
Did she?
Oh yes, I'm sure she did. Yeah, I mean, she fights dirty.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Ted Cam says, "We love Athena. She's such a sweet tea."
She is very sweet, and it's yeah.
Ted Cam. Pete Bunting agreed. Haha, love that lady. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Any other stories you'd like to share with us, Paul?
Oh gosh, I tend to do them kind of spontaneously though. It's hard when you just put me on the spot. It tends to be, oh, I remember this, and I'll kind of go into things. But although all my stories now are all kind of like about being a paramedic, I guess. I had a good one not so long ago where someone pulled a knife on me. That was fun. But paramedics aren't supposed to, go hands on. So when they get all kind of aggressive and they threaten you, and other, oh no, we can't. So I think it caught this individual by surprise when I took the knife, and they were very unhappy. Yeah, they made all sorts of threats, but I had the knife.
So some of your other background, you fought MMA.
I did, yeah, a couple of fights.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Kickboxing.
Yep.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
lot of kickboxing. Yeah, a lot of BJJ. I'm not very good at BJJ, but yeah, I seem to suck at that.
What else? What other arts?
So yeah, I hold rank in the Taekwondo, kickboxing, BJJ, Krav Maga. Those are like the ones that I hold rank in. I trained for about 18 months in Aikido, which was fun. I did Iaido, the sword thing. That was just for a little while. And then, of course, through the police and through just the circles that we operate in, I have dabbled in and attended seminars. So I'm not that, I'm not the guy who says, "Oh, I used to train with so and so." No, I went to a seminar, like the progressive fighting system, which is very interesting. MUCMAP, the Marine Corps martial arts program. There's a couple of other kind of generic combative things. There was a guy operating out of the UK. He did a lot of kind of pressure point stuff, but not like the crazy pressure point stuff, but actually kind of more of a, okay, this is a good place to hit somebody because it hurts, as opposed to, I'm going to knock you out with my chi. So yeah,
and then
it began very kind of sport, martial arty, and then went into the combat sport, and then has now progressed into the combative side of things. So,
and you've trained with multiple Krav Maga organizations and people.
Yeah. And that's just, it's not because I got upset with anybody. It was just, me moving or things changing or whatever. The only constant really has been you, because you were my introduction to Krav Maga, and you and I have never. You and I have never stopped training with each other. But just because of circumstance, because I was living in the UK and you were in America, I needed someone to train, so I started to train with Joe Ambrosino, who's our friend.
Hey Joe, Joe's a good man.
Joe.
Love Joe.
He is. Yeah. So I was training with him for a couple of years, and he was very gracious because he allowed me to kind of slip through the control nets of where I should be, and allowed me to go and participate in quite some advanced training. So that was a lot of fun. And then I came to the US, and locally, I trained with a different organization. So I've actually got instructor certifications with 3 organizations. I'm sure the other 2, they don't recognize it anymore because it was a long time ago. But so I've been through the mill with the testing, with the training, the testing, and the instructor training 3 times, and it's given me a good perspective of the similarities and the way that the particular organizations like to direct things, I guess, for want of a better expression. But yeah, like I say, the one constant has been Mr. Ernie Kirk.
I feel for you.
Yeah.
And when you were with the police, didn't you train with SAS and Israeli and stuff like that?
Okay, so so the SAS guys are a lot of fun. They're interesting, and we would dovetail with them. So we would use a lot of the same equipment and a lot of the same tactics. It was just that kind of mentality. So they were naturally much more aggressive, and it was all about kind of casualty rates and things like that. Whereas we as police officers had to be more reserved about how we approach things. But ultimately, a lot of the time we would share a lot of our resources. And I went to Hereford and I trained at their facility there.
What color are the boathouses?
I'll put a cup of coffee on you. What color is the boat? Hereford. Yeah, it's really annoying whenever he says that. But yeah, it's Hereford, not Hereford. Hereford. But yeah, they were good guys. Very entertaining. Very competent at what they do. And very humbling for me because, of course, so they used to call us Pepsi Max, which I fully embraced. I thought it was a wonderful nickname because it looks like Coke, it tastes like Coke, but it's not the real thing. Because we looked exactly the same and we did the same training, but we weren't SAS. So I really embrace that, because a few of the guys I used to work with, they really got into that. We're operators. I'm like, we're not. We're cops. And we're going after bad people, but they're badly trained and they're idiots, and we're massively overwhelming them with our aggression and our tactics. These guys were going overseas and really doing it. So hats off to them. They're extremely professional, very, very capable. Whereas we were just a bunch of cops who were running around playing soldier.
So Ryan Hubbard asked about your gun training. I don't know. I'm not a gun person. Ryan says, tell us about your gun training, or did I miss it?
Maybe you missed it, Ryan. I'm not sure. So gun training, that's kind of a broad topic, isn't it? So when I first...
Paul actually is a firearms instructor, and he has a company.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I do, yeah. Or maybe that's what...
You might want to share that with people who don't know.
So myself and another Brit called Gary Craig, he's based out of Round Rock in Texas, which is his house is exactly 184 miles from my house. I know this because I drive up and down.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. And we have identified a gap in the market, which unfortunately is hard to kind of get people to come out. But Texas is an interesting place, because everybody, of course, in Texas thinks they know all about guns, because I've grown up around guns and all about guns. I can hunt. Well, that's great. Does the deer have a gun as well, or a knife? And are they running at you? And they look at me like, what? No. I'm like, so, I teach civilian defensive tactics shooting, which is all, for the most part, sub 25 yards. In fact, most of it is sub 15 yards, because if you look at the numbers, most lethal threat encounters occur at less than 5 yards. So why we need to go out to 25 plus yards is, well, you'd run away, wouldn't you? If someone's that far away, you'd be like, hello, can I have your money? No, you can't have my money. Well, I really want your money. I have a gun. I have a gun as well. I'm quite a good shot. Well, I'm not. That's not realistic. It tends to be kind of,
different voices.
It tends to be that you're close, almost touching. So we've identified a need to get the ordinary civilian who doesn't want to do the high speed, low drag, tactical operator training with the vests and the drop leg holsters, because I don't carry a ballistic vest with a drop leg holster in my car.
You don't?
I don't go out dressed like that, so I don't train like that. Now, I used to train like that when I was in the teams, but I don't use that anymore. So why would I continue to train like that? You should train how you fight. So we provide firearms training courses for people who want to conceal carry a pistol about themselves, which is kind of up to them, but we kind of have our guidelines about what we think works best, and or a carbine on a shotgun, which they could have access to. So the idea is that I carry a carbine in my car quite regularly, so I train with a carbine because I have one available, but I don't have one on me, so I'm not running around with it on a sling or anything. It's more so the drills we do will tend to be that we draw a pistol, we fire a couple of rounds, and then we get the car.
How many weapons do you carry in your car?
He's only asking me this because we had this conversation yesterday and he thought it was excessive. So right now, with the current situation, it's between 3 and... Okay, so I have a pistol on my hip, which is the one that I always carry. It's always on my person. I've taken to carrying the ankle revolver, just because. I've got another pistol in the glove box. I've got a carbine on the footwell of the passenger seat, and I've got and I have a tomahawk.
What about your knives?
Oh yeah, I've got the knives as well. Yeah, but I've always got a knife on me, so I've always got a fixed blade on my support side and the folder. So, I've got the knuckle duster as well. it's just you have to have options. You have to force options that are appropriate.
I understand.
More importantly, you need to train those options. So,
Yes.
Which I do.
thing that
So-
you do.
Hey, one of my favorite courses was your cognitive stress course that we did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
My
fun.
Although having my partner Jason punch me in the brainstem wasn't always fun either.
Maliki?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was punching you in the brainstem. That was mean. Yeah. So the thing I like about that, and that's kind of segueing into like, the training that I do is most people think that they're going to they're going to perform better than they actually do. So I have all these like tricks where I can, without being dangerous in any way whatsoever, just trip people up, and then their shooting goes all out the window, or they shoot the wrong target, and it makes them think. Because I want them, I don't want them. I mean, I do want them to come to my range days and be like, "Oh, that was fun," but I also want them to go away and go, "Oh, that was fun." But I'm going to be thinking about this for the next week and longer because I didn't do as well as I thought. I need more because actually I thought I was really good, but I'm not as good as I thought I was. So the best people I have are like the repeats who keep coming back, and then we keep running them through those cognitive drills where they're having to think about what to do, which is a lot of what the police firearms training was all about. That you had to do. It was all about target identification, whether it's appropriate use of force, having to deal with problems with your firearm, or what's the most appropriate one that you could use in the circumstances. And I just kind of adapted that for the civilian world. And the people that actually come have a really good time. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't need that. I'm a good hunter."
And it changed the way I trained.
Yeah. So elite firearms and self-defense. Go and like that page as well. That'll be good. Yeah. Elite firearms and self-defense. EFSD. Elite firearms and self-defense.
Do we have any other questions for Paul from people?
Ask me some questions. Come on, people. There's 19 of you.
Excuse me.
That was cute.
Oh, wait. We got a funny comment from Neil that Athena threatened him with a shock knife for not hitting her hard enough.
Yeah, I've seen her do that to people. Yeah.
We have to get Athena on one of these interviews.
Oh my God. It's not just a shock knife, but it's where she's going to shock you.
Yeah. She knows where it's going to cause the most discomfort.
Yes. You know what? And you talk about training. I tell the story. I saw Athena.
I know exactly what you're going to say already. Go on.
I saw Athena. We were training with a SWAT team. She was fighting the officer. He fed the gun into her mouth. She spit teeth out. She spit them out and just kept walking at him. And he's like, "Ma'am, are you okay?" I'm like, "Shoot her. Shoot her." So I was like, she gets her hands on you. It's not going to end well. Shoot her. Shoot her now. She just spit them out. It was like Frankenstein or Friday the 13th. She's coming at him. And he's like, "Ma'am, are you okay?" I'm like, "Shoot her.
Shoot her. You need to make her stop."
She won't stop until you draw." Yeah. Oh, that was fun stuff. It's always pleasant doing simulations training with her, with law enforcement. So much.
I bet. Well, simulations training is a great way to train, and I think a lot of people underestimate it. They think it's kind of like soft. Real training is with live fire, and actually, what I found from a personal point of view was the live fire was great and necessary in terms of honing your skills about using actual live weapons. But the best training that I did, that was the most beneficial and was kind of like the most like top level, was all sim.
Yeah,
because that's when they're shooting back. and you start to really use cover because it hurts to get shot. When all your when all your targets are paper, it's like a video game. But when they're firing back, and when they're coming at you firing back, then it's crap. This is a different thing, and you have to be accurate with your shots under stress, the stress of them coming at you and shooting at you. So I love simulation training. It's a leveler for, are you being honest with your skills? Because a lot of people, they think they're doing it right, and when you stand back as an instructor, you can see they're way out of cover, or that would never work, or they're doing reloads just standing. There's like a cover next to them, but they're just going to stand out in the open and do their reload with no
That's
cover.
a great transition. So we actually have a question and a follow-up from Mr. Ryan Hubbard again. He asks, do you think a civilian should work on mag reloads, or what's the best practice for muscle memory? And then he followed that up with, or work more on concealed drawing skills.
Hey guys, if you don't know who Ryan is, Ryan
is awesome.
Ryan is awesome. He has a business, and he's also a firearms instructor. He any of your firearm needs or hunting needs, reach out to him.
Yeah, he's very honest as well, which I think which is a rare thing. He will not do you ill. If he gives you a good deal, it's going to be a good deal. Anyway,
his business is up in arms. Up in arms.
So people need to, they need to get that draw from concealment slick. Absolutely. And I think as much as they can, they should be practicing that draw from concealment. But a lot of people, particularly with the new fad of having subcompact. So, for example, I carry a SIG, a P365, which is a great gun. And it only carries, the magazine I carry in it only has 12 rounds. Say only, that's kind of like, that's not bad actually. But some guns, they carry less because, we're weighing off concealment versus capacity. Now, if you look at historical examples of people that are involved in engagements, you can very, very quickly run through those rounds, like really quick under stress. So you absolutely need to be practicing your reload drills, because I carry a spare on me all the time, which is a 15-round magazine. So I want to be able to get that second round into play as fast as I possibly can, because whilst your gun's empty, it's just a lump of plastic and metal. So I think they both have their place. I don't think one's particularly more important than the other, although obviously in the timeline of events, the first thing you're going to be doing is drawing. So if I had to make a choice, I'd say, well, if you don't get the gun out, then it's useless. So I would probably say you need to get the gun out, so practice that draw. But don't ignore your reload drills, because most people are running through their rounds very, very quickly. I mean, if you look at the cop videos, like the body cams, when you see them, it's like, bah, 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 and then almost inevitably, almost every time, it's a complete mag dump. And then you see them like fumbling. And I'm not disrespecting the cops at all. I mean, it's an incredibly stressful situation, but you can see them like trying to work out how to get the magazine in, and then it's in, and off they go. So practice. You can do that at home. You don't need to even load the gun. Just you can practice every day. Become muscle memory.
I have another question.
Go.
Has training with multiple Krav Maga organizations influenced your view on how Krav Maga should be taught? Yes. Now I'll let you answer.
Yes, it has. So I'm not going to name them because I'm not like that. But I was part of an organization, and they had a very prescriptive methodology in terms of a very thick manual and very, very intense. And it was like, this is how you teach it. Like, this is how it's done. And I would be like, because I had a different background, I'd be like, yeah, but no, this is how it's done. And it was very traditional martial arts. Like I remember having arguments with Aikido and jiu-jitsu guys. I don't mean the BJJ, but the Japanese are saying, yeah, but what if? And they're like, no. If you do the technique correctly, it will work. And you're like, but I'm not built like this person, and she's not built like him, and he's not built like her. That doesn't make any sense. The technique is perfect. Well, it's perfect for the guy that invented it, maybe, but not for everybody. But this particular organization was very, very prescriptive. They were like, "This is how it's done in that," and you would, like you'd be doing your 360, and you'd and they'd come up and they'd go like, you'd be like, "Really?" You've been a bit of an arsehole. But just why are you doing that? So they were very, very technique oriented. One of the things that I always enjoy working with you is we have a curriculum, which, as it happens, is the same curriculum. There's no difference whatsoever. It's exactly the same curriculum, but the curriculum is a guide. It's what we give if people have no existing skills. It's hey, this is what works for everybody in like the bell curve of ability and age and agility and all this kind of stuff. But if something else works for you that's better, okay, because we're principles and mindset and tactics. So if your tactics suck, then you're going to be a problem. If you have the wrong mindset, well, you're going to fail. And if the principles, as long as you don't breach principles, you can pretty much use whatever technique you want. And that's one of the reasons why I always enjoy bringing other people from other organizations. So, okay, so I'm not going to try and teach BJJ how to ground fight because they're going to be better. And I'm just going to be taking stuff from them and thinking, how can I adapt this to my fighting style? I've had a lot of people tell me or get frustrated with me because I say, the way you teach self-defense techniques isn't actually how you fight. Because, when I'm doing the freestyle stuff, I'll do something they'll teach and they'll be like, well, why don't you teach us that? And I'll be like, because that's me. That's my style. These are things that I can do, but it's not practical to teach you how to do that because it would take a long time. Or, you didn't do 15 years of taekwondo to be able to move your leg like that. So yes, I would say that training with different organizations has definitely influenced things because that particular organization was very, very prescriptive, and it's a good organization. Don't get me wrong, but just no, it's not the technique. It's the principle. I think,
and that's a big thing. That's why I love bringing in guest instructors.
Yeah.
It's different than what we do. You learn something. It's not.
Is there a better way?
Yeah. This square doesn't work for everyone.
No. I mean, it's an average. It's everyone can do that, but this particular individual might be better at doing something else. So, why force them to do the the square technique when they're actually more competent at a triangle or a rhomboid.
Parallelogram. Oh, I can't believe we've gone over an hour and we haven't mentioned Star Wars at all.
Have we really? Well, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you haven't done well. Actually, you've done very well.
Would you like to talk about Star Wars?
If you want, I mean, I could talk about that for days.
Oh, wait a second.
And
Hold on.
Anne had so many questions about Star Wars.
I just haven't seen it yet. So once I see it, we can have a conversation.
Okay.
I have another question for you. So Ken Malt said, sorry, please explain the basic Krav principle from yours.
Perspective.
And then perspective. I don't understand. Do you understand that?
These are Krav Maga principles from your perspective.
Oh.
Okay. So, well, the first rule of Krav Maga is don't get hurt. Go home safely. So, I'm a big fan of the timeline. I think Krav Maga, if there is a flaw in Krav Maga training, for the most part, is that a lot of places are ignoring that timeline. It's always like, I'm being choked, I'm being headlocked. It's like, well, wait, hang on, time out. How did this happen? How did you get there?
How did you end up with the gun in your
How did you? And that's why when people say, what would you do if you're on your front and your hands are tied behind your back and someone's got a knife to your throat? And I'm like, what have I done wrong in my life to end up? So, how have I done that? So in a lot of ways, I think we teach Krav Maga kind of backwards. because it starts off with this like worst possible situation, and yet the better you get, the more removed from that you become, because you start anticipating and thinking, well, that looks like a bad situation, I'm going to go this way. But of course, I guess it's from a retention point of view. Not many people would be like, I went to this class and all we did was run away. I suppose a lot of people would find that hard to handle that. But yeah, so the principles are, don't get hurt, try and see it coming, use your verbal judo, and then things like if someone throws a punch at you, well, the principle is don't get hit by that punch. Now, there's different ways that you can achieve that, and we have in the curriculum all these different techniques that you can pick and choose from and decide which one works at best for you. But if it's a straight punch, you want to be deflecting it. You don't need to be stopping it, because if they're really big and strong, like if Big Dave, if he punches you with a straight punch, I'm not going to catch it. I need to, I don't want to be there. But if it's a swinging one that you can't just kind of move, then you need to attack the attack. So so those are the principles. Attack the attack. But how exactly? How? Well, that depends. And I think that's a really good term as well, which a lot of people get frustrated by. Well, it depends. What would you do if this happens?
It does depend. Like gun defense. How far away are they?
Yeah, how far away?
What?
What's the ground like? Is it light? Is it dark? Am I inside? Am I outside? Is there more of them? Or is there more of me? Is there somebody standing here? Is there somebody standing here? Is there a crowd of people behind me? Is there a gas pump next to me? Is my car? Because I don't want my car to get shot. That would really suck. So there's all these different. It depends. Well, what would you do? I don't know.
You said something, and it makes me think of another story that we were talking about, and I would like to talk about more. When I used to have that conversation with Jeff Jimmo all the time about a lot of the techniques that we were learning in Krav Maga were very contrived. And so the training should talk about preventing that from happening, not, hey, I ended up here, now what? And that gap was bridged a lot by Jeff Thompson, talking about the fence, controlling the distance, hitting somebody really, really effing hard under stress.
Yeah.
And like Animal Day, like real fighting, not scoring points, but getting the adrenaline rush and having the fight. And you can continue on that with Jeff.
What was the story? You said you had a story to tell you about that. I can't remember.
When you brought up the visit, Jeff, at 3 a.m.
That was so bizarre. So Jeff Jimmo is an amazing coach, and he's so frustrating because he's like the most humble instructor ever. He was so aggravating because he was like, "Oh, I don't know anything." Jeff, you know everything. You literally know everything. And he was like, "Oh, no. I know a little bit. You guys collectively know more than me." I'm like, "Oh God." An amazing instructor, but he understood it. He really got that whole thing, and I'm always very, very conscious of trying to explain to people that I'm showing you how to get out of the choke, but don't be in the choke. Like you should only be choked if you're complete. So if you're dealing with somebody else and then a third person comes over and starts choking you, that's really for me the only time that would happen, because what am I doing? Walking around with my eyes closed? How am I getting choked? That's why would that happen? Although I did get choked once in real life, and it was just me and the guy. So that was funny.
Tell us.
So we were doing a drug raid, and we knew that the guy was going to eat the drugs. So I was the point man. My job was to get to run past all the rooms, past all the threats, and grab the old guy who was going to eat the drugs, because that's what he did. And his son lived in the apartment above, but it was a basement flat, so there was a way to get in between the two apartments by an internal stairway. So I run through, and sure enough, this guy's throwing these bags of drugs in my mouth. So I grab him by the throat and I pin him up against the wall. and he's got all these drugs and he's trying to swallow them. So I did what was reasonable in the circumstances, because obviously, my primary concern was his care, and I didn't want him to, ingest all these drugs and have a possible overdose. So I punched him really, really hard in the solar plexus, which made him go like, bleh, and he coughed up all the drugs. That was good. So I got to keep the evidence. I got to save his life. I punched him to save his life. But at the point I did this, his son came running down the stairs and he saw me punching his dad, or holding him by the throat and punching his dad. So he thought that was bad. And he went, oh, and he kicked me. So I was wearing like body armor. So I fell backwards over this. It was a red Honda generator. I remember very distinctly. It's weird, isn't it? The things that you remember in these moments of stress. So now he's got his hands around my throat. So I'm like, eh. So I'm bent over backwards over this generator, and he's like, eh. So I'm punching him in the face to get him off me, which I was successful in, and then I stopped. And that led to a very interesting court appearance afterwards, because I got to engage with a defense attorney about my use of force, where she was trying to imply that I'd used excessive force by punching her client, and I used the term, well, yes, I punched him as hard as I could, but not as hard as I can.
Articulation.
Yeah.
What are you?
Articulation.
Yes. And she was like, what's that supposed to mean? I went, well, I punched him as hard as I could, but not as hard as I can. And they were like, well, what does that mean? And I said, well, I boxed and represented the police internationally. I'm a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo. I break wooden boards with my bare fists. I kickbox. I do all this stuff. If I punched him as hard as I possibly could, where I can generate all the force, then it's potentially a lethal blow. I would be breaking his skull. I'd be breaking like his cheekbone or his nose or something like that. He would be knocked unconscious if I could punch him as hard as I could. But the fact that your client had his hands around my throat, and I was bent over backwards, meant all I could do was this. So I punched him as hard as I could in the circumstances, and I definitely intended to hurt him, because he had his hands around my throat, but as hard as I can. And that kind of well, it didn't help the defense attorney's argument that I was being unreasonable. So anyway.
Switching gears a little. So Alex, our social committee chair for Croft Camp, would like to know, if COVID-19 was a martial art, what martial art would it be?
Probably some kind of ninjutsu, sneaking around in the shadows, sniping at people. You don't know it's there, and then I've been got. Probably, yeah, ninjutsu.
We got another one.
What?
If it was a Star Wars character, what would it be?
COVID-19 was a Star Wars character. Well, it's definitely the dark side. It could well be Palpatine, because he was he used to the machinations that he would always be doing behind the scenes, but particularly with the Senate, they had no idea. Even the Jedi had no idea what was really going on, because they were blinded to the way that the dark side was moving. So it could well be Palpatine.
You get so excited talking about Star Wars.
It's good. What happens when you read it?
What character would you be in Star Wars?
So there are a number of kind of offshoot characters, and I've always been a little bit uncomfortable with the Jedi in terms of their kind of the kind of ultimate purity, I guess, for want of a better expression. There is a term of a grey Jedi, which are few and far between, but these are Force users who don't prescribe to being one extreme or the other. They kind of try and toe the middle line, and that would be more in keeping with my personality and my kind of mindset, because and this is kind of serious. Through my life, I've always been on the good side of morality, but I've been capable of doing very mean things to other people. So there's that kind of balance, and I always have been on this side. So I would identify more with the grey Jedi, who aren't they don't hang around in temples and stuff. They just kind of hang out, and they use the Force, and they get angry, and they mete out justice as they see fit.
Thank you. Well, I think we need to call it.
Yep.
I want to announce again, though, Paul, these books are on Amazon.
Sheepdog with a black belt.
And
And all of you that are still watching, thank you very much. I'm honoured.
thank you all for your questions.
Yeah,
And thank you, Mr. Paul Landreth-Smith. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Ernie Kirk and Mrs. Anne Kirk. Thank you too.
my pleasure.
Have a good night.
So
And you guys.
I just want to say, I don't have everybody still up here, but thank you to everyone who did tune in. Tim Rook, Ken Malt, Summer Hubbard, Ryan's beautiful wife, Alex, Jonna, Charles, Witz. What do you call him?
Ski.
Yeah, sorry about that. Ski.
Wait.
Elisa.
No, my kid I taught in grade school. Oops.
Oh, okay. Ted Cam, Ryan and Kim, Neil, Scott Fitzpatrick. So good to hear you, see you. Richard Franklin. So many people. So thank you, Paul, for taking some time to hang out with us tonight. And once all this is said and done, and we're all happy and healthy and intermingling again,
We'll see you at Croft Camp.
we'll see you at Croft Camp, and Paul, see you at
Well.
school in Tyler.
See you at Grove Camp. Thank you, guys.
See you, man.
Nice evening.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.